Hello again, everyone, and welcome to part 2 in our series of videos on Federal Government Hiring 101. In this session, we're going to talk about mainly, why are you interested in a career in the federal government? Now, I know many of you here at Georgetown have come here with the explicit purpose of trying to find a career in public service, and that is wonderful. And the federal government is a great way to pursue that goal. But with the catch, the federal government is a very large organization, and there are many, many different ways that you can enter it and find a career of purpose. So we're going to try and start to demystify some of that process. So to begin, with any career move, you want to start with a bit of introspection. If you haven't already, you want to take some time to talk about your own values. What is important to you? What types of missions really get you up in the morning? What things do you like to learn? What things are you good at, be it school or something outside of school? What do you enjoy? Do you like being with other people? Do you like reading and writing by yourself? Do you like being outside? Do you like working in strategy? These are all questions that can help inform your values. The reason values are important is it helps you connect to the mission of an agency. The federal government is above all a mission-driven organization. In general, its purpose is to help serve the American people. And within that, each agency and sub-agency and office within an agency has their own mission. Mission connection is probably one of the most important parts of a federal application. To better explore this, we have a number of things that you can already check out. For example, every week I put out a government, nonprofit, and education newsletter. You can find it by going on the Colley Career website and looking for newsletters. Sign up for those, see what's coming through, read some of the articles. The second thing is to pay attention to the news and media. And I'm not talking necessarily about some of the politics and things that are going on, although that might be helpful if you want a career in politics. Rather, I'm actually talking about paying attention to the news. There's a number of sources that I'll show at the end that really can help. So for instance, if you're trying to figure out where to get a job in the federal government, pay attention to budget talks. Who's getting the most money in the next round of budget cycles? And those agencies are probably the ones that will be hiring more. Agencies that have their budget cut probably won't be hiring quite as much as they normally would. That's just one example among many that you can use to help provide yourself with information as to where you might go. Along the same lines, current political trends, budget issues, appropriation battles, issues that you hear about in national and international news sources, these can all help. And this is where your classes can be a great asset as well, and your professors. A lot of them are on top of what is the latest and greatest trends going on in governance, in American politics, in how we manage our country's affairs. So these are all things that you want to pay attention to. Second, when we're talking about working in the federal government, we're going back to our basic civics 101. We have 3 branches in our federal government: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. Today's presentation is primarily going to focus on the executive branch. Much of what we're talking about in terms of applying to the federal government websites, etc., do not apply to the legislative branch or the judicial branch. So, in order to do a little bit of searching, there's a cool website out there called the Partnership for Public Service, and they have this facts and figures page called Fed Figures. It was just recently updated just in the past month, and it has some great information about the federal government. So for example, a few things you can find out are the relative age. You'll see that folks under 30, which is probably most of the people listening to this video, only represent about 6% of the federal workforce population. And you can see a whole lot more people are in their 50s and 60s. That, combined with the fact that new hires are dropping and departures are slowly but steadily increasing, tell you that the federal workforce is an aged workforce, which means that there can be potential for newcomers to the organization. And this, if we click on this Fed Figures, this brings us to the bigger document, which you can see shows you the majority of people, 70.5%, more than two-thirds of people work for defense and security related agencies, because quite frankly, that's where the money is. It shows you the types of jobs that people work in. This is some of what we were talking about, some of our workforce demographics. And we also have information on race and ethnicity. How long does it take to hire? This is note. Between 2012 and 2027, the length of time that it takes to hire has risen fairly dramatically, from 87 days to 106 days. The standard that the government tries to stick to is 80 days. You can see they're not doing that. So if you're wondering why you haven't heard back from the federal agency, this could be part of the problem. Another thing that's cool on this page is it shows you the best places to work. So these are agencies, and we'll go into this a little more detail. And this is cool, federal employment by state. So of course here in DC, there's a lot of other jobs, but there's also some other surprising places. So California, for example, has as many federal employees, if not more, than Maryland. Georgia also has over 60,000 people employed. New York State has 44,000 plus people employed in federal service. Ohio has 45,000, Pennsylvania 54,000, Texas, over 100,000 people in Texas are employed by the federal government. So if you don't want to stay in DC, that's great. You can check out all these other areas. All right, so back to our presentation. Another really cool website that is also created by the Partnership for Public Service is the Best Places to Work Agency Rankings. And this is based on a survey that goes out to current federal employees every spring. And they respond back answering questions like, how much do I like my job? I recommend my organization has a good place to work. I'm satisfied with my job. I'm satisfied with my leadership. I have the opportunities for advancement, and so on. And we'll take a look at the website too. So we'll get to the home plate with this bestplacestowwork.org with the rankings. And you can see that there are large agencies, mid-sized agencies, small agencies, and subcomponents. And the large agencies, these are your large cabinet level agencies. A lot of them you're probably familiar with. And the cool thing is you can see, of course, NASA has been #1 for a number of years, and Department of Homeland Security has been at the bottom. But what's also interesting to note is that actually for the last 2 years, Department of Homeland Security has been climbing in their overall score, whereas State Department, for example, Department of State is #14 now. Just 2 or 3 years ago, Department of State was either #2 or #3. So they keep falling. So that's another trend to look at. You can also look at some of the mid-size agencies, some of the small agencies, and these start to get into maybe some agencies you've never heard of. So the Millennium Challenge Corporation, for example, you can click on that and see what their mission to advance values and interests by reducing global policy through economic growth. You can click on the website and you can go directly to the Millennium Challenges Corporation's website. From there, you can look at Work With Us and you can learn more about different opportunities and click on jobs and internships, and they'll show you directly what they have open right now. And this will take you to USA Jobs, which we'll get to later on. All right, so if we go back, another example that might be of interest to you is the Overseas Private Investment Corporation. Doesn't sound like a government agency, but it's actually a really cool mission, a small group. But they help American businesses gain new footholds in new markets overseas and outside of the US borders. Again, you can go to their website. You can learn directly from the website who they are, what they do. You can see sometimes you have to scroll down and hunt a little bit who we are. Yeah, there it is. There's a careers button. You can click on that, find out more about careers, view current vacancies, and you're taken to this USA Jobs. Oh, look, everything that has this little bookmark, we'll get into this in more detail, that means you're eligible if you are a current student. So, hey, look, they've got internships posted. Woohoo! This is solid gold. All right, so that is Best Places to Work. They usually come out with new rankings about every December, but there's a lot of information on the site that can help you understand more about agencies that perhaps you're not as familiar with. A couple other government resources. One is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Career Outlooks. This is like for fields in general. And then these next two, intelligence.gov and intelligencecareers.gov. Intelligence.gov is great for those of you who might be interested in careers in the intelligence community. And that link is broken. So we'll just go intelligence.gov. It goes through at a very high level the 17 agencies that make up the intelligence community and tells you a little bit about their mission. And it can be a great first place to start. Maybe you've heard of CIA, FBI, but you're wondering what else is out there. This is a great place to learn more. Coast Guard has a really cool mission to try and help our country. The other one to check out is the one that came up first time. Oops. Is intelligencecareers.gov, and for some reason we're not getting to it. Sorry for technical issues. And this is for a few agencies. So the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Defense Intelligence Agency, Department of Homeland Security, Office of Intelligence, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and the National Security Agencies. They have this whole cool student section where you can look at which agency, what type of what level of graduation, academic education you've had, what types of internships are you interested in, and field that you are a member of. And they also have just some neat information here. So this is a great resource as well. A lot of, especially within the intelligence community, what they're looking for varies so uniquely that I really suggest going directly to the source, directly to the agency's website. To that end, CIA has their own great website, cia.gov/careers. You can go directly to student opportunities and really take some time to look at this. When they have these Find Your Fit tools, use them. When they have videos they want you to show, or like you look down here, they have a YouTube channel. Oh, yes, check them out, because this is information that you can use, and it's coming directly from the source, which is, as much as I think I'm a cool person, the source is always the best place to look. All right, and finally, fedsoap.gov. If you're at all into data, this is a really cool, you want to make sure you have to use the right platform for viewing this in terms of internet browsers, but this has federal workforce data. It's actually what FedFigures is based off of. And in past life, I used to have to use this all the time. But if you want to get into hardcore data about federal employment, that's a good place to go. And last, this again are some other non-government resources. We already went through bestplacestowwork.org, gogovernment.org, and then finally the federalnewsnetwork.com. This has a lot of information that's very pertinent if you're employed in the federal government. And I think it can give you an idea of some of the areas that people within the government are worried about. So I highly suggest that you check out this page, set up, news alerts, that kind of thing. They have some really cool podcasts and videos that they do. I think it's called Government Matters. It's like one of their TV shows. If you want to get into the government world, being a wonk is a good thing, and this is probably one of the best sources for wonky type of issues. And something that I read regularly to try and stay on top of hiring trends so that I can help inform you all the best. All right, so those are just some information pieces. I suggest you take down some of these web addresses, come back at your leisure, and give it a shot. All right, well, thank you very much for joining today, and I hope you continue watching.